Yeah, let's just focus on the Texans and the Titans for right now.
Yeah.
So some people may be looking at Ryan Tannehill in this game against a really weak uh, uh, Texans front. Ryan Tannehill is being picked up in some DFS lineups. I am personally steering away from him. Mike and I were kind of talking about some of the stats for Ryan Tannehill in these games, and although it's only 4 games in rain, he's only posted a 78 QBR, 182 yards per game on average, and only 6 TDs and 5 interceptions. So, although
Yeah.
we don't expect this juggernaut Titans defense, we do expect maybe some mistakes to be made by Tannehill in this game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going big, betting big on AJ Brown in this one, and obviously AJ Brown can still produce if Tannehill is very limited. But if you take the upside away from your quarterback, it does remove a little bit of upside from your wide receiver potentially,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, and AJ Brown's going for
77.
$7,700 right
I
now.
know.
Yeah, right. That's you're up there with like CD Lamb and Stephon Diggs, who I'm much higher on this week. And
Debo.
we do have a very yeah, exactly. Yeah, Debo as well. And we have a very limited sample with AJ Brown, but he has played in 2 games with Tannehill in rain, and he's only caught 38% of his targets and only is averaging 24 yards per game and is sub 10 in yards per target or yards per reception. Sorry. So that's incredibly low compared to his career averages. So what that's telling us is, yeah, he still may be getting the targets, but the catch rate is down, and what he's doing with those targets is more limited. So I would really limit expectations, especially in the second half, for AJ Brown in this one.
Yeah, you're gonna need to see these two kind of go off or gel in the first half to make you feel a little bit more comfortable when that rain moves
So
in the second half.
what about the other? What about Marcus Johnson? Very low value. Do you think the same thing, Sean?
It's so hard because we have a limited sample. We saw some breakout potential from Marcus Johnson last week. He is going for $3,500 on DraftKings right now, which is an incredibly low and could be a value, quite frankly. But how this game is going to go and what that game flow is going to look like, he is still an outside receiver. So I still think he could get some targets and maybe give you a floor here, but I'm a little bit more hesitant. I do have him actually in our league, and I just lost. Cooper, I just lost Cooper to the Dallas wide receiver, and now I have to plug somebody in, and I'm debating whether I want to put in Marcus Johnson in here, and I have initially, but I'm really second thinking it here. I think Chester Rogers is a slot in Tennessee, and my question is like, hey, is he maybe going to get a little bit more target volume here with Julio Jones out? So right now he's kind of a borderline in DFS because he is such a low. His value is incredibly low, and he may provide a good floor for you, but I may be looking at other options.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, I mean, I feel like there's a ton of them now piling up, especially when you get into the running back games. And if you look at the Houston Texans running back issue, right? The big loss was Derrick Henry early in the year, but now we're starting to see a new running back potentially take over the reins, right? Or maybe the lead dog, Deontay Foreman. We have Josh McNichols. He is out for this game. That is more of the general pass catching running back, and we saw Devontae Foreman, catch he had 45 yards on a screen pass last week.
Yep.
So he's going to probably step into that role as well, and you think he's going to get more of those carries because from Adrian Peterson's
Nailed
standpoint,
it.
He looks pretty bad.
Nailed
Yeah, he looks pretty washed up.
He does. And
so I think.
And my forecast with this is I really am. I'm actually starting Devonta Foreman in my DFS lineup. He's $4,900. And I think I think he could potentially be a smash play here. I think running game, they're going to rely on that. I think Foreman showed that he can carry that load. He got 13 touches for 78 yards. And yes, a lot was from that screen pass, but he showed he's more than a capable back. And I look at more Adrian Peterson as more of that change of pace back and maybe potentially getting some goal line. So he may siphon some of the opportunity from Foreman, but I think he has a really great opportunity of getting 15 to 20 touches in this one potentially. And really establishing himself and having a really safe floor, especially with that $4,900 price tag. So I'm more than happy to play him. I mean, like to your point, McNichols is out here, so there's not a lot of backs there for the Tennessee backfield to choose from, and so I think Foreman's one on the list.
It's so funny. I'm looking at our notes for the show, and I love it. Houston running backs. Nope.
Hey, It's been like horrible all year. I just want to do a nice shout out here to at Adam Koffler of Fantasy Pros. Last week I was on Twitter. This was in between, changing baby diapers and trying to guzzle some coffee down. But I saw Adam Koffler put out a tweet last week where they were specifically talking about Deontay Foreman and how he changed his jersey number and he changed up some of his look. He had the tinted visor on. He had the red sleeves out. This was during the pre-game warm-ups. And Koffler's he was saying, hey, listen, like, looks like a lead running back right now. He's starting to look the role here. There's some changing of the numbers. Keep an eye on him. As soon as I saw that, I went in through all of my fantasy leagues except for one. So I have 4 out of 5 leagues and picked him up before he, just in case, he went off. And I think that might have been a good move now, just looking at how he was like probably the top waiver wire target this past week for running backs for people who need him. So just wanted to shout out there to Koffler.
Yeah.
Good job on that. And I'm glad to help me.
Yeah,
It's all about the visor. All about the visor.
That's it, man. It's all about the look.
If you feel good, you're gonna play good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And I think he's a smash play. If you have him even in your hometown leagues, let alone DFS, I think he's even a potential flex play here. If you could fit him in, I think he's going to get the volume and the opportunity. And especially against the Houston Texans, who are just unfortunately struggling on defense in almost every facet of the game. So good play there.
Yeah. And Tennessee is a 10-point favorite in this one, so they should get the lead.
They're 13.
Oh, it went up? Okay, at the open, it was 10 points.
Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is 10 points still. I'm thinking of the other game. Is there any last things we want to talk about before we get to our second game, guys?
Well, what about people still struggle with this decision? We have Tyrod Taylor actually playing. Davis Mills is not going to be playing in this matchup. Brandon Cooks. Okay, what are you doing with Cooks in this one? We are going to see probably some precipitation. Tyrod Taylor threw 3 interceptions last time out. How are we feeling? What's our temperature check on Cooks in this one?
I mean, in redraft leagues, I'm playing him. He's been productive. I mean, even with the tough game last week, he still managed about 9 points, half-point PPR on 13 targets. So he is getting the lion's share of the looks and the volume in this. And I think if you're in a wide receiver, if you have a wide receiver flex, or if you're in a 14-person league like I'm in, and I have Cooks, I feel confident in playing him. I'm not personally searching him and trying to start him on DFS, but in redraft, when you need him, he should be a solid flex.
He does have a $6,000 price tag. It's not exactly cheap. So, you are paying, I think, market value for Cooks based on expectations.
It is 10 points.
And the Titans' D has been really good.
Yeah. No, sorry, I was interrupting. Yeah, the Titans. Yeah, I don't think you play Cooks unless you have to, like you said, Mike. I wouldn't be looking for him in DFS for that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, in DFS, you probably go into a better option. Maybe pay up a little bit for like CeeDee Lamb or something. But in redraft, you feel confident playing him. He'll have a solid floor.
And then RBs you're punting on then, right, for Houston?
Nope.
Do they even have a running back there? I don't even pay attention.
Well, David Johnson, I think, is going to get the first crack at it. He's at 4,400, but I think you avoid if possible.
So you're right. Sorry, it opened at 10. It's still at 10. I was thinking of the second game that we're going to talk about of the 13 points.
What is the second game you're calling?
Yeah, let's
ready
move
to move
on. So